everybody, Leapin' Leppin' here. I am in Quincy, Illinois to see the christening of the Quincy. The Quincy is a riverboat barge pusher. It pushes barges down the river, of course. And this will be my first ship christening. It should be exciting. Here I am on the barge deck. Very cool. Got my mask on. You can see. Here is the MV Quincy. Here we go.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the christening ceremony for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers' newest towing vessel, the motor vessel Quincy. I'm Aaron Dunlop, the Mississippi River Operations Manager for the Rock Island District, and it is my honor to introduce our district leadership and relay a short story about my personal involvement in the history of this vessel. In 2008, I moved to the Quad Cities and began working for the Rock Island District. At that time, the future of heavy lifting on the Mississippi River was very uncertain. We had secured funding and constructed the motor vessel Quincy, but were unable to move forward with the acquisition of the new Quad Cities heavy lift crane, which you're standing on, due to funding concerns. Ultimately, it was determined in 2008 that the new motor vessel Quincy would go to the Ohio River to support Olmsted locks and dam. I recall the disappointment and concern felt by our maintenance crews back then as they worried about the future of our mission on the river. Never could I have imagined back then that I, along with my dedicated team, would spend the next 13 years working to secure funding for this heavy lift crane, which would ultimately secure Rock Island District's vision to continue providing critical heavy lift support to the entire Mississippi River. It is my honor to have been part of this team that brought the motor vessel Quincy home to the Mississippi River in Quincy, Illinois, culminating in this ceremony. Now, I would like to introduce Rock Island District's Chief of Operations, Tom Heinhold, who will provide the invocation.
Thank you, Aaron. Please join me in prayer if you would. We gather today on this magnificent riverfront in the sight of God to ask His blessing upon this vessel, upon those who will sail, work on it, and upon our nation, which will see the benefits of its service. We thank you, Lord, who in your great wisdom and grace have provided this river, means of safe and efficient transportation, running through a diverse ecosystem, this most wonderful land. Be pleased now to pour out your richest blessing upon the motor vessel Quincy, that those who use it in the service of our country and our fellow man may perpetually benefit your divine protection. May they always be kept safe from storms and other hazards on the water, and may they bring life, hope, and peace to those they serve. We ask this as we ask all good things in your holy name. Amen.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Steve Satteron, the commander of the Rock Island District of the Army Corps of Engineers. Thank you all for joining us today, beautiful day, as we prepare to christen the newest of our district vessels, the motor vessel Quincy. We have a couple distinguished guests today, and I'm not going to call them all out by name. I do want to recognize we have staffers from both Congressman Hood and Congressman Gray's office. Thank you so much for your support to the Corps of Engineers and coming out for today's event. We do have the mayor-elect, I hope I don't butcher the name, Mike Trope, where you at? All right. Thanks for coming today. I recognize plenty of other stakeholders from the upper Mississippi River area down here. I see you, Mike Finger, and you member folks, Grant, I see you out there. Thanks for coming. Your attendance is much appreciated. And of course, we're also lucky to have our guest of honor, the Mayor Quincy Moore. Mayor Moore, thanks for taking time out of your day to help us christen this beautiful vessel. ancient Greeks and Romans performed christenings, and many different cultures have their own versions of the event. But more or less all christenings serve one purpose, and that is to ceremonially toast to good luck and safe passage. Although our sister services, the U.S. Navy and the U.S. Coast Guard, may be better known for carrying out this tradition, it should be noted that the Army has a sizable fleet of boats in its inventory. And the U.S. Army, obviously also steeped in tradition and heraldry, it's in our organizational culture to honor these age-old customs. And today we do just that by christening the motor vessel Quincy. The Corps of Engineers has been operating vessels on the Mississippi River for more than 150 years, since Congress first directed us to improve this great river for navigation. The vessels themselves and the operations they perform have evolved with technology, but the basic principles have always been the same: help keep the river and the people along it thriving. The motor vessel Quincy is a towboat. Contradictory to its name, it pushes vessels like the massive crane barge you're all standing on. This boat, along with the equipment and booms, supports crucial maintenance work in places like our locks and dams. It's fitting that we christen our boat just outside of Lock and Dam 21. But the motor vessel Quincy will help support many other areas of the district's 314 miles of responsibility on the Mississippi River, and will be called upon to provide assistance to other districts in the Army Corps of Engineers, both on the Mississippi River and others. The Quincy is a welcome addition to the Mississippi River Structures Maintenance Fleet at our Mississippi River Project Office. It's a monumental task to maintain river infrastructure, in some cases more than 85 years old. Most of that infrastructure was built to withstand 50 years of use. It's way beyond that. The reason it's still operational today is because of the outstanding and innovative efforts of the crews at our project office, like the men standing on the deck with you today. It's critical that those crews have state-of-the-art equipment and tools to carry out their mission. Some of you may have already had the chance to tour the Quincy, and if not, I invite you to do so after the ceremony today. I hope you will agree she is a fine vessel that will serve our mission for many years to come. Now, please welcome the man to whose city we dedicate this vessel, Quincy Mayor Schoellhorn.
Thank you. I want to say thank you on behalf of a grateful city to the Corps of Engineers for naming this vessel after our community. Since our founding, the city of Quincy has rose to prominence because of our proximity to and our use of the river. Our river highlights and dictates our way of life here in Quincy, from being why so many Germans immigrated here in the late 1800s to being such an important fixture in our commerce here in the city of Quincy. And I just want to say what an honor it is that the motor vessel Quincy will be used to help protect our way of life and the way of life of so many communities up and down the Mississippi River for the next 50, maybe 100 years. So on behalf of a grateful community, I want to say again, God bless this crew who worked so many countless hours over a year to prepare this ship for today. And we want to say God bless you and your future endeavors. Now let's go christen the ship. Thank you.
We'll have a brief pause here while they reposition down below here, and then we'll count down to the christening. Okay, are we ready?
Yep.
All right, we're going to do a countdown. I'm going to start at 3, 2, and then we'll go down. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
There you go. And that was the christening. Next thing we're going to do is take a tour of the boat itself.
Hi folks, welcome again to Motor Vessel Quincy and Quad City Crane. My name's Mike, this is Bailey. We got Tate over here, the 3 Rangers at the moment. So we're going to be your tour guides, but we're going to let the crew do probably most of the talking since this is their vessel after all. So So the groups at first, we're going to split into 20 people. So I will be taking the first 20 people. We're going to have another group underneath the crane. It's going to be group number 2. Third group is going to be over here by this giant yellow block. And if you find that these groups are giant and you're not on one of these first 3, that's okay. Just hang out in the back there. Once we get moving, we're going to do a bunch of rotations. So just bear with us and we'll be just fine. These tours last roughly about half an hour or so. So we'll get you moving. So with that, I'll be with the first group. So
No, take your time. All right.
My name's Mike, so I'll be with you all today for at least a little while. So if there are any questions come up, things like that, I'll try to answer. Otherwise, we're set with the crew.
Yeah.
Aren't you mechanical?
I am mechanical. That's it.
Yeah, came over in my lunch break and
Traffic's stuck on the bridge.
nice to see this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Grab you one. I think it's on the other side there.
Big old girl.
You're comfortable going up some more stairs? Yeah. They're not terribly wide, but there is quite a bit. So just make it in there. I'll grab you man.
All right, we'll get started. My name's Jared. I'm the chief engineer on the boat. Basically, my job is to take care of all the mechanicals with the boat. What we have in front of us down below here is one of the main engines. These are Caterpillar 3512s. The 12 means it has 12 cylinders. Each one of them is 1,500 horsepower. We have one on each side. These burn about 110 gallons of fuel an hour when we're going full ahead. Wow. Yeah. So these hold 175 gallons of engine oil per engine. Well, your average car probably holds 5-6 quarts of oil. We try to do a service on these every 1,000 hours. Out on the side of the boat, under the water, we have what they call keel coolers. They're like radiators that are cooled by the river water, and that's what cools these engines. These big pipes that you see coming up the middle, that's the exhaust pipe. The reason it's wrapped in insulation is when we're underway, it gets up to 700 degrees. If you look in front of the engine, down below there, there's an air compressor. There's one on each side. The primary goal for these air compressors is to start this engine up. So they have air starters. Behind us through the double doors, you'll hear that's the noise of the generator running. I have 2 John Deere generators on here. We typically run one at a time. Then after 24 hours, we'll swap to the other one and do maintenance on the one we shut off. Right now we are running this boat and the barge off of this one generator.
Wow.
To the back left there through that door and that big window, it's kind of my office. In there is an electrical switchboard. That's where you control the power coming off the generators. I can sync both generators together if we need that much power. Also in there is kind of a computer screen that monitors these main engines and an alarm panel. During the hot months of the summer, July, August, it gets to about 120 degrees in this engine room. We do have exhaust fans in the ceiling and an intake fan down below. So when it's hot out, all you're doing is blowing hot air, so it's still hot.
Yeah.
All right, Jared, thank you. We're going to head into the galley, head up to the pilot house, get this other group in here.
What kind of oil does
There.
this take?
So this first step
We use 1540 Schaefer's oil.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the good stuff.
Yep.
Very cool. That's your safety. That's the
Yeah.
How many knots can she go?
We can go about 12.
Ooh, that's pretty good for this size. There's the other engine. Heading to the galley. Yep, watch it. There's stuff there. Laundry room. The galley.
That's okay.
Is that right? Why do you say that?
You guys have a nice galley.
Beautiful.
Cleaners.
Absolutely beautiful.
We normally here on this one, we're on about 11 days.
All right, you made her, huh? Well, I'm Captain Randy, so welcome aboard. Like I said, we'll move along a little quickly. This is pretty typical towboat, twin screw, 3,000 horse. It can handle the crane barge that this is designed for, which it handles it real well. Like I said, typical river towboat. These are my steering rudders here for backing up, for steering, going ahead. I got wind indicators up here. I have backup steering systems. In the center is my throttle control. The white gauge up there is my swing meter that tells me when I'm turning left or right.
Cool.
It's real handy in the fog. If I happen to get stuck in the fog, I can watch my instruments and still maneuver up and down the river safely.
Pretty cool.
Yep. The little box over here on the top with the numbers on it, that 8 and 8, 9 in there, that's the depth of the water underneath us today, where the river's falling here a little bit, so we're a little less than 17 foot underneath us now. We take 7.5 feet. So, the next box over is my AIS, automatic identification system. Every towboat on the river has one of those boxes on it now, and they talk to each other, and they share information, then it spits it out on my computer. So this is my electronic river map.
Oh, nice.
This is us right here. And these are the bridges, the lock and dam down here. And see what that does, the AIS, see it's talking to this boat down here, so it tells me that I'm stopped here. He's stopped down there waiting for the lock. But if they were underway like this guy here, it'll tell his speed and course and such as that. And if we're moving down the river, then it'll also create a yellow line and tell us exactly where we're going to meet at.
Oh,
so
beautiful.
It made us really safe and efficient. So good stuff.
And it's all in real time.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's all live. Okay. Yep, up to date and very accurate stuff within about 3 feet. So.
Oh, nice.
It takes all the guesswork out of it. On this boat, that's not common. The towboats put on here because I have to deal with the crane in the building and such as that. I've got video cameras up here and on the barge too, so it helps me see around and everything a little bit. I've also got radar here. This is kind of an old school thing, the radar. It doesn't have very good picture today because we're so close to the bridges and that. I'm getting a lot of feedback from it. It really clears up once you get out in the river. So what that does, I can see boats moving on there, like small boats and such as that. And then on here, I can see where the buoys are supposed to be and everything like that too. So, and then the radar verifies it, so it's kind of redundant.
So it keeps you kind of in the middle of the channel.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So does the ship have like an E-perm, like bigger ships on the water do?
No, we don't carry E-perms on the river.
So is this pretty typical of a towboat? Like if I see somebody pushing a string of barges, is it very similar to this?
Very similar to it, yep.
About the same horsepower?
Yep, this is a kind of a medium-sized one. This is 3,000 horse. The biggest boat you see up here is 6,000 horse, so kind of that's the range.
Okay.
Yep. Kind of a rule of thumb is about 200 horsepower per loaded barge.
Whew, yeah.
And you know, up here they take 15 barges because they're limited by the lock. Once they get below St. Louis where the last locks and dams are down there, then they double and triple those tows up and take 46 barges to New Orleans. So, and they'll put bigger boats on them. So we have areas and pilots that kind of specialize in different areas. You know, the guys that run up above St. Louis don't necessarily run below St. Louis. They get a different boat, different crew. So
That makes sense.
they hand
Makes
them
sense,
off.
yeah.
Yep. So.
Camp, I think we're about ready to
Move.
rotate.
Yep. All right. Well,
All right.
appreciate you guys coming out.
Thank you.
That was very good. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Don't get a chance like this very often.
No, we are happy to do it.
brass.
I'm glad you guys could come out.
Thank you, Camp. Folks, we're going down, so just be careful on the way down.
Beautiful.
Going down the first boat.
Can you guys get 5G on here now?
Yep, we got 5G on here.
That's beautiful.
We're the government.
Oh, yeah. That's true. Yeah, you are the government. Yep.
when I came down with the barge, I was 10 miles.
Pretty cool.
Just too cool, honey.
Why would this
That's something you don't get to see.
Yep. Step over.
Many towboats and
Rock Island, Illinois. Yep, right on the Rock Island Arsenal. Indeed.
Well, at least we're not on the bridge. Okay, all right, thank you.
Gives me a second to enjoy that breeze a little bit more.
There you go. All right, back down here. And we go this way.
Alright folks, so if you were with me, most of you were, we're over here by the crane now, and we're going to chat with the crane operator, Shorty, and Tony as well. So Keith is here, so I'll turn it over to them.
How you guys doing today?
Good.
Any questions right away, or I'm just going to start talking?
Go for it.
This is my supervisor, Keith. He's in charge of structures. I'm the master of this vessel. Tom over there is the assistant crane operator out here, and we have an engineer, Tony. He's giving another tour right now. This block here weighs 28,000 pounds.
Woo.
In reference, that whole crane set back there weighs 30,000. So that's how big and massive. This block will lift 1,000,000 pounds.
Nice.
This wire here is Tuffelberger wire made in Austria. 2,600 feet of wire. The price tag when we replace this wire is $110,000 just for the wire.
Ooh.
But we're hoping to get a long lifespan on it. But if we're operating, which we do as we're operators, we're looking at that wire and anything, anytime if we see a broken wire, it comes out brand new. Same with rigging we have over here. If there's even a cut or anything on that rigging, we throw it away. Management will buy us new. We can't afford to fail.
No.
The crane itself is run by a Caterpillar, it's a 1,000 horsepower Caterpillar motor. I hold 2,200 gallons of fuel in the Maribay crane. I hold 22. When I'm on the seat, at an idle, I burn 8 gallons an hour. When I kick it down, it'll be 50 gallons an hour, full idle.
Wow.
We hold 600 gallons of hydraulic fluid in the tank, and then there's another 600 gallons inside the boom there, all those lines up there. We hold 1,100 gallons of 80-90 weight. We have to do that yearly, change those oils. We priced it out, just the oil alone is $40,000, just the oil. I have 4 cameras on this crane. I have 2 right above us, and then I have a camera to the right side. And why that is so valuable, when I'm in that seat, I cannot see anything through that boom. The boom is so big. So our crew the whole time has radios. They're communicating with me constantly. I do not move this crane without seeing people because I cannot see anything. We can pick, like I said, we can pick 1,000,000 pounds over the stern, but the radius isn't great on it. What's it, 55 feet or something, 55 feet, where our biggest things are is when we go to the lock and dams or emergencies, we can't sometimes get close enough. Right now, I'm sitting 102 feet away from the crane. I can lift 571,000 pounds right here as it sits. I'm going to give you back over to Keith. Here when it was designed. So
anyway, yeah, this thing can take 1 million pounds, like you said, at a 55-foot radius, and that's off the end. It can swing 10 degrees either way, but off the side, this barge can pick 790,000 pounds out to a 75-foot radius. We could probably set 500,000 pounds in that fountain. Yeah, it's pretty stout. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So, just ballasted level, like we normally operate every day, anything under 600,000 pounds, we don't have to worry about. If we do have a 700,000 or 800,000 pounds hit, we know that prior. So we have a computer up there upstairs. We'll enter how much fuel we got, which tank we have it in, all our potable water, oil in tanks, and we got to calculate all that in, and it'll tell us how to pre-ballast this barge, which will make it lean before we pick.
Do you take in water to
yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
How big? We got like 9 ballast tanks around the outside perimeter of this thing, and the whole bottom of it is a 3-foot ballast tank. So if we come to a bridge or something we can't get under, we can almost sink this barge.
And we'd lower the spots down so we could clear the barge.
That being said, this crane will get a lot lower than our older crane. We can lower this crane down to 38 feet.
Wow.
And he can do that in just about 2 minutes.
Wow. Now the boom itself on this crane weighs 320,000 pounds. In reference, our old Quad Cities that were decommissioning, the boom weighs 60,000 pounds. That's how massive this crane is.
So this crane was built in Houston, Texas, and it was mocked up and assembled there, then it was disassembled, and it sat there until the barge got complete. Then they shipped it all to Morgan City, Louisiana, and that's where it underwent final assembly and load testing. Now, when they did the 1 million pound pick, they actually had to go a percentage above that. So they picked 1,118,000 pounds. And that was another barge that was filled like 8 foot deep with water. It was pretty impressive. So they picked that 1,100,000 pounds and held it for X number of minutes. And then they pumped water out of it and got it to 780,000 pounds and went over the side. Now, when they went over the side with it, this barge tilted bad. So water was almost running on the deck over here, and this was almost out of the water over here.
Oh my goodness.
And not only did it lean, it was twisted. It was pretty amazing to see.
Oh, wow.
It's all designed to do that.
So does your operating tilt with it, or does it balance itself out on the level?
No, it tilts with it.
You tilt too?
Yes, sir. I have list and trim indicators, gauges out there. It tells me when I swing, we're listed. We're listed. And then,
so you're used to doing that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I feel it big time when I grab a gate. When I grab a gate in the lock chamber, and this crane redefined how we do gates. Now, before, I would grab a gate on this wall. I'll sit over here now. If we had an emergency, I could sit outside the chamber and pick the gates on it. So we can pick stuff. And like those gates, when I'm out about 100, I'll probably a 2 or 3 degree lift stop. That's what we'll do.
So if y'all are familiar with the dam down here, the bigger gates you see in the center of the dam, that's a roller gate. They weigh about 600,000 pounds.
Oh,
if something ever happens to one of them, it'll have to be us coming out here. There's not a crane around that can deal with that.
Yep. And that's where we would be, like the distance. You can't get that close to that stuff. We need big power to get close enough to get it.
Now the interior, this barge is way more than we're standing on. Downstairs, from about halfway back this way is storage. We can access that through that hatch right there. There's also a hatch over here that you can't see. But everything forward of halfway is 50,000 gallon diesel tank, 10,000 gallon water, 10,000 gallon sewage, and all our water pumps and our ballast system. And it's pretty intricate downstairs.
The fuel, he says 50,000 gallons. The reason we designed that, we can go from the Quad Cities. We're the fuel station for this boat. That's who we fuel. And we can go from the Quad Cities down to New Orleans without having to refuel.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah, that boat burns a lot of fuel.
Yes, it does.
How about the stabilizers here? Do you use those often? Or
we use them a lot all the time. and they're just like nails that just stick in the bottom of the river. They're not to hold us stable. You'll still lean during the heavy pick. Actually, with a 1,000,000-pound pick, they need to be up so the barge can do the thing and not bind up.
What raises to the lower stuff?
There's big electric motors down there with an 1 3/4 cable that comes up through this aluminum thing and goes through a shield in the bottom of that spud, and it's like a 2-part wire, sucks it up or lets it down. And he's got a way, when it's on the bottom, he can knock it down the gear so it'll stay.
So if the water comes out, the spuds are automatic, because they're sinking. Even when I sing, they're sinking in the mud, and that's what holds us still. So if we get high water and this river comes up quick, the spuds they adjust with the water. Are you?
Yeah, I think we're unfortunately about ready to rotate.
Okay,
so,
sorry.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming by today.
Yeah, no problem. All right, that was awesome. Anyway, this has been Leapin' Leppin'. Please comment, like, and subscribe. And if you do subscribe, make sure to ring that little bell to get notifications whenever I upload a new video. Also, when you're at it, check out my TikTok. I do a lot of TikToks. Anyway, Leapin' Leppin' from Quincy, Illinois. See you guys in the next video.